Sorry I missed last week. Getting back on track for episode 10. Oh yeah. I'll send you over the blog. I gotta finish it first, which is the problem. Actually, let me see how big it is. It's a chunky boy. I still need to edit it too. It's about overland travel for D&D. Let's see. I've touched on the subject before in the blog, but I want to do some more in-depth stuff on it. Let's see. Yeah, what's the word count on this? Oh yeah, it's a svelte, almost 10,000 words, and I'm not done yet, so it's gonna be a big one, which is why it's been taking me so long to write it. But that should be coming out in a few days. I'll get that out. But yeah. So this is obviously our solo RPG actual play stream for 5e. This is our 10th episode. 8th episode running. The first episode, of course, we did the world building. The second episode, we did the character building. And just kind of go over what happened with the last session. Things went alright. So we finally showed up in Cartoonton. Finally gonna figure out what's going on with Harold, surrounding Harold's death, figure out what's going on with their discredited research for Lia and Omer. I almost said Akari there for a second. I was like, no, Akari's way back at Split Valley. Yeah, so we showed up there and we're like, all right, well, we can't get access to the academy because we're discredited from there, so we got to figure out a way to get in. Also, it's the weekend, so it's not open, at least for the public. So they decided to go steal some cloaks. They've got a very Harry Potter style cloak. That's how the university, distinguishes students. So they went and grabbed a couple of those, and then went to the temple to see if they could get some answers about the corrupted mail, about the plate mail, corrupted plate mail from the Water Myrmidon. And in that situation, we ended up running into another one of the Bounty Hunters Guild from the episode before, where we, accidentally, well, not accidentally, we on purposely killed somebody, but only because our life was threatened. And that turned into a brawl in the temple, which, again, Lia being a wizard now, barely has any hit points. She's first level. They were outnumbered, she and Omer were, and she got pushed into a corner and she killed somebody. Again. Only this time she did it in the city, and that's a bit of a problem. So, of course, she got arrested, and the way that the city deals with that, with crime, is that most of the time you go to some sort of community service or indenture. So they found her guilty of manslaughter for killing somebody in self-defense, and Omer also has a lesser crime for basically brawling, for disturbing the peace, or whatever you want to say, for brawling on, temple grounds, sacred grounds. And so they're both sort of going to the muster. We ended with them sort of going to the muster of the indenture in the morning so they can get sort of picked for community service. The hope is that they will get picked by somebody who can use their talents, because if you have specific talents, you can pay off your debt to society faster by using those talents. Otherwise, you're doing, day laborer work, and that's really not Lia or Omer's strong suit. So that's definitely not what they want to be doing. Hold on just 1 second. Gotta go grab something. Be right back. So yeah, that's pretty much where we left off. Oh, they got attacked by a zombie on the way to the muster. That was sort of the important thing. And they found a love note in their pocket from somebody who calls themselves, what were they called themselves? Jump down here. Midnight Lilac. Not quite sure who that person is or the person who's deceased. But we did take a sample of or we found a flask with sampled bodily fluids on the zombie, who we know was a dead socialite, and we pretty sure that this is related to the rampant illness with the slavers that Norcruth kind of talked to us back at Split Valley, and we kind of brushed him off because, we had other things to do. So this may be related, and maybe what turned this person into a zombie, and so we're trying to figure out, or we have this, and we have questions about what the nature of the affliction is, and then given how that it seems to be very common with slaves, and we found it on this sort of dead socialite, we're like, maybe is it something sexual in nature or transmission? We're not sure. So we'll figure that out, but right now we've just got a flask with sample bodily fluids. I think we're probably going to try to get rid of that as quickly as possible. Leah's not particularly interested in following that thread. So when I originally set it up for setting it up for the world like we did in episode 1, I didn't know who the character was going to be yet, so I didn't know if that was going to be important to them. And that's not important to Leah, but it keeps showing up, so she might have to deal with it at some point. Or if we find out that somebody who's close to her is afflicted with it, then obviously it's going to rise in priority in her eyes. But that's sort of the basics. So I don't want to waste too much time. I don't know how long we're going to go on the stream. I'm gonna plan for our sort of standard 2 hours. But we'll see how it goes. Maybe a little bit longer, or if we find a good stopping place, I may cut it a little bit short. Just because as we get into sort of the grand scope of the plot, I don't want to make too many decisions on it too fast. So I feel like we start snowballing and really pushing towards that based off of how the randomness works of doing the solo RPG and using the GM Oracle, I may kind of pump the brakes on it to give me at least a little bit of time to kind of mature those thoughts and kind of let them ripen, so to speak. But let's go ahead and hop on over to our place. There we go. Alright. So we've got our stuff on the left and our stuff on the right. So we are getting to the mustard. That's where we're talking about. I thought this was on the left. Our current session. So we already know that it's cold, and the wind's kind of whipping through the streets. It was overcast and foggy, which is how the zombie ended up sneaking up on us. Yeah, so we have our notes. Just went over that. It is infected with Slaver's disease. And that kind of brings us to where we are. So we show up at the community service muster in the morning. It's Lia and Omer, dressed as they will. And they're also showing up, kind of dragging this corpse with them, which I think probably draws a lot of people. We haven't really decided how many people are at this muster. Let's go ahead and do that. I think that it's a pretty big city, right? I think Argentina's got how many people in it? 52,000. So, I don't know. I'd say there's probably a good thing. Maybe at the high end, like 200. So let's roll a D100 and we'll just multiply the result by 2. Sounds pretty good to me. Alright, so there's 40 people at the muster. So that may be less than usual. We don't really know. I'm sure Lia and Omer have some idea because they've lived in the city for a while. But me as a player, I don't have any. But certainly there are some gaps in people's, a hubbub starts as soon as they sort of approach the sort of muster parade grounds of the Basilica with carrying this rotting corpse with them. And Leah's got a bit of strength, I believe, right? She has pretty good stats. Yeah, so she has a +1 strength. Omer's got a 0. Omer's basically a commoner. but Leah's got a little bit of strength, so she's probably got the heavier end, walking backwards, and then, or what they've probably done is they're probably, because it's a zombie, they don't care that much about the body, other than reporting it, is that they probably just have each a boot tucked under each arm. They're just basically dragging this corpse through the street until they get there, because they probably wouldn't have come across any other guard at this point. Because it kind of happened while they were on the way, and it's relatively early in the morning. And yeah, so they enter the muster. Of course, there's a big hubbub, and then guards kind of show up, and there's a guard captain who kind of comes over to ask, what's going on. I think Lia just kind of plays it straight and is like, hey, we're coming to the muster this morning. Got attacked by this undead guy. He seems important. Actually, that's a good question. We don't know. Lia and Omer have both lived in the city for a while, though they haven't been here recently in a few years. So I guess let's just go ahead and, crack the seal on our GM Oracle. Do they actually know who this person is? It's a big city, and they weren't high society. Like, neither of them is from a noble background, so I think it's somewhat unlikely, so I'm going to give them a -3 on this roll. So if they roll a 12 or above, adjust them. No, they have no clue who this person is. Not a clue. And I think that is actually, so that jumps all the way down into being a no. And I don't really want to give them a hindrance for this, because they're already very hindered in their actual situation. And the only hindrance that I could think that would make sense would be for them to assume that they killed them, but it's clearly a zombie, so they didn't. But I think that that's enough or the roll is so low that we're gonna know and this. So not only do they not recognize them, nobody at the muster recognizes them. And remember, the muster is not only just sort of the 40 people that are there for community service. They're also the private people that are here to sort of purchase their indenture for the day, or for whatever term that they're buying it for. So they're members of like all social strata, and obviously this is kind of a very surprising thing, so there's going to be a bunch of people sort of milling around. And nobody in the crowd knows who this person is. And that's weird. It's weird that nobody knows who this is. Because we know that this is a socialite person, so this was somebody who was around town, popular, in the upper ranks of society. And there are people from the upper ranks of society here who don't know who this person is. And that's weird. So let's add a note down here. Actually, I'll just add it here at the top, and then if we continue to play out the story thread, I'll move down into the thread section. Alright, so nobody recognizes this person, this corpse. And I'm going to take that to mean that, again, because we rolled a 2, and with the -3, it's actually a -1. So it's not that somebody doesn't recognize the corpse because it's been mangled. Like, no, the face is pretty clear. It's sort of, their clothes are in relatively good shape. Like, somebody should be, they probably have, I don't know if they have jewelry on. No, they didn't have jewelry on them, because we would have found that. So, nobody recognizes this corpse, but it's not because there's anything wrong with the corpse. It's perfectly in reasonable condition, and turned recently enough that somebody would be able to identify this body pretty easily. But nobody can. So the question is that going to pull them away from their community service? I could roll for that, but I don't think so. I think that's extremely unlikely that they're going to be pulled aside for a John Doe corpse. I mean, I guess we could roll for it. But I'm going to give it the full -5, because I think it's extremely unlikely that they're... Like, these people are already have something else that they need to be doing. Yeah, so that's a no. That makes that a 6, and that's definitely a no. Alright. So then we're just into the muster properly. I'm sure they line them up. They probably call them out by names. And I feel very much like this is kind of an auction situation, but an auction in the way that, you know, you do a charity auction or something like that, and you can have a charity auction for like, oh, you know, this person will show up with their lawn crew to cut your yard and do the landscaping or something like that. So it kind of gives them a little description about the person and sort of their backgrounds that are provided. So the primary question is, we sent a message when we found out that we were going to have to get mustered in the morning. Lia and Omer sent a message to Arias, which is the Riverside Vice Chair, who is sympathetic to them, who was one of the few people who probably went to bat for them in their research in sort of the discrediting process. And so they sent a message, but it was also the weekend, so is Arias there? I'm sure that's one of the first things Leah's looking for as soon as they enter the muster, and they get an eye on like who the people are in the crowd, and they're kind of like searching. You know, we're searching the crowd looking for Arias. Is Arias here? I'm just gonna give it a 50-50 right now. No, he's not. And you see Omer sort of like physically deflate a little bit, seeing that, you know, then Arias isn't here. And so Lia and Omer kind of quietly conversing, because unfortunately they have a very specific skill set, and that being their sort of background in sort of draconic and primordial studies, which is probably not what most people are showing up at the community service muster for. Most people are looking for, you know, backbreaking day labor work. Obviously that's not what Lia and Omer want to do, and they're probably not. Leah's probably maybe okay at it. I don't know how good Omer is, because Leah spent a little bit of time sort of in the army, and she came from a smaller village, so she's probably okay with chores and things like that and doing that kind of work. But I mean, she probably didn't do a lot of like ditch digging or things like that, so not hard manual labor, but definitely sort of like maid work, which is what somebody might pick her up for. More domestic kind of work. I don't know if they pick Omer for that. Maybe not. I guess we'll find out. Alright. So there is a muster. I think we haven't really figured out how the process of that goes. If they go one by one, if there's like people who are looking for specific things, which that would probably make more sense, I guess, rather than doing a full auction of 40 people and going down the rows. Maybe it's more of a sort of like job fair kind of setup, where they kind of like corral the community service people into different areas of expertise. And so and very much Lia and Omer are probably alone. Let's roll for it, but I think they're probably alone, so probably -5 here. Yeah, they're alone. Alright, so they're alone in their sort of like little cordoned off area. Does anybody come to see them? Come to see their specialities? I think it's probably unlikely. We kind of talked about who it is and what they're looking for. Most of these people are looking for primarily day labor, unskilled labor, or maybe sort of specific skilled labor, maybe like carpenters, masons, things like that, maybe smiths, people who have very specific but general application skills, as opposed to, you know, being an academic who's just very well versed in the background of dragons and primordials. So I guess I'm -3 to this. I don't want to say it's totally impossible, but I think it's probably kind of unlikely. Alright, -3. That's a 7. That's no. Alright, so nobody's kind of come to see that. And it's kind of they're kind of there, you know, kind of kicking dirt a little bit, with their arms crossed. And they're kind of those kids that are waiting for in like basketball or dodgeball, waiting for the captains to sort of pick kids out, and you know, the line of kids gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Then it's just sort of Lia and Omer there. So now the question is that I know that they sent the message to Arias, and I don't know. Right, we have some things stacked against Arias for showing up. So I think we'll give him basically one more shot, pick him up before somebody's going to come grab them, and we'll figure out who that person is. So does Arias show up? And I think this is probably as whoever this other person may be interested in pulling their services is talking to, you know, the guard member who's assigned to, you know, doling out the responsibilities. No, Arias is nowhere to be seen. Alright. Well, I kind of planned for Arias to be here, but he's not here. So I guess we're not going to make it. We're not going to make it into the conservatory today. The only way we could make it into the conservatory is if Lia and Omer go MIA, which will have severe negative repercussions for them, for their community service, if they ditch on it, and they get caught ditching. So if you don't get caught, and that's a good thing to talk about, sort of the legal system of Cartridge, I guess a little bit. So that was manslaughter was considered a lesser crime because it was in self-defense. Otherwise, it would still be kind of a major crime. But because it was in self-defense and they didn't start it, they weren't the aggressors in it, and there were a bunch of witnesses because they did it in the middle of a temple when this fight happened. I think. So on the lesser side, you get community service indenture, but on the high side you get exile. So if they, or banished technically, if they ditch on this assignment, they could get banished. If they get banished, they can't get back into the city, and they definitely can't get back into the conservatory. That makes everything much more difficult for their lives at this moment in what they're trying to accomplish. So they're probably not going to ditch. Alright, well, didn't show up, so let's find out who is actually going to end up grabbing them. So I'm going to use, so there's my little Liam's notebook. Got a handy dandy 1D100 thing in here, which is for NPCs. We'll see kind of who grabs them. Alright, here we go. Find out. 77. Huh. Alright, so 77, by the way, on this table is a young child or orphan. So I think that this is a relatively young child. How old is this child? I think we'll give it like a 2d6 roll. Make sense? 9. Okay, so this 9-year-old child kind of comes up and is like, I want the dragon people. And the guard's like, you're a bit young for this. I guess that's a good question. Can this child, if they have the gold to pay for it, buy someone's indenture? I think that's unlikely, but so I guess I'm -3 to this roll, but let's find out. Okay, so yeah, the guard's like, no, absolutely not. And so because that's a 1, there is sort of a edge or alternative sort of thing that comes with that. So let's see what that is. Let's roll another d20. And 13. Which would be a new NPC enters the scene. Okay, no, I think we could work with that. I think we could work with that. I think, you know, it's a very classic sort of movie situation where there's this child that's trying to get something done, but the child's not able to do it because they're a child. And then, right, we have some sort of maybe, hopefully, helpful NPC steps in to assist, or maybe to, I don't know, or maybe they're bad. I don't know yet. This really wasn't. It's hard to call it a hindrance because it really doesn't have anything to do with Lia and Omer and what they're trying to progress. So it's not really a hindrance to this. But, you know, if there's a different NPC, let's make a different NPC. 57. Okay. Well, 57 is a slaver. So a slaver wants to buy their indenture, which is pretty common. We know the slaveries around in the world because we've worked with a couple of them already. Norcruth and Gimbal. So we know that slavery is a thing. I guess because we know people are here, is this a slaver that we know? I think it's 50-50. We got 2 of them. Yep, sure is. So it's yes plus an edge. So I think that edge... Do I want to roll for it or just pick Gimbal? Because Norcruth would not be good for us. So I think it would be... Well, we haven't determined... We said the hindrance, we didn't know if that would be good or bad for us. Well, then if it's gonna be bad for us, if that's the hindrance aspect, then it's definitely Norcruth, who is not happy with us. He's not really happy with us at all. So yeah, I think then this guard's sort of arguing with this child. I think this child's probably getting kind of close to losing it. What this child wants with Lia and Omer, we're not sure. But as that happens, a familiar Dragonborn steps into the scene. Obviously they didn't see him earlier, maybe he's a late arrival. Maybe he heard about, through the scuttlebutt, you know, there's people with very specific skills were going to be at the auction. He's like, I know some people, and I know they were headed that way. So, let's see, I can't remember what color Dragonborn Norcruth is. Oh, probably because I didn't give him a color. That's why. Okay. So, anyways, he shows up. Walker's like, I'll take these 2. The guard's like, kind of pushes the kid away. It's like, I'm done with you. Go away, or you will be dragged away. And kind of turns to Norcruth. Great. What kind of work are you looking for? I guess it's a good question. Does Norcruth actually want us for the intended purpose that you might pick somebody for this? Or is this going to be kind of a weird revenge punishment thing? Ooh, actually, you know what? I'd say it would be extremely likely that he wants them for their particular services. Because he is the first person who talked to us about the slaver sickness. And then we showed up with a zombie and bodily fluid about the slaver sickness, like today. So I would say that he would highly like that, but we did also we were kind of at odds with him in the last sort of adventure for the Water Myrmidon. So I'm just gonna make it likely, so +3 to the roll. Let's see if if he actually wants us for what would be useful for. That's a 16, so yes. Norcruth does. I don't know what rate he pays. I guess because it would either be day labor or skilled labor, so he'll go with the skilled labor. So he buys their. That's a good question. Does he full out? How many days does does he want them? Let's say, how many days is he gonna buy from them? He's kind of cheap. He kind of cheaped them out the first time, so I'd probably go on the cheap side too. He probably just wants to kind of get information out of them and maybe use them for something. He does know that Lia at least is a competent fighter. He hasn't really seen Omer. That was before Omer was made a fully fleshed sort of companion character, and he was just a straight up commoner NPC. So he didn't do any fighting. So I think it probably, let's go with the D4 days. That seems right to me. Alright, so he will buy their adventure for 3 days. 3 days. So let's make a note there. Was it right there to grab them? No. So we're not going to do any of this gain access to Riverside Conservatory stuff. That's all push for now. Because I kind of had the idea that Arias would be there. Arias is not there. So instead, there is Recruit, purchased there, Ditcher, 3 days. Alright, and that starts pretty much immediately. I'm kind of wondering if we add the kid. We can always add the kid, I guess. So let's go ahead and add the kid, because the kid clearly wanted. Well, I guess we should roll for that. You know, was the kid serious about trying to get their help specifically, or was the kid like, I just want somebody to talk to me about dragons because I think dragons are cool, like a dinosaur kid, right? Like, dragons are cool, and these people know everything about dragons, so I've got my pennies in my pocket, and I just want to pay with that and gum, and hopefully talk to them for a while about it. So, but I think it's 50-50. I mean, maybe this kid wants, because we don't know, maybe this kid wants something specifically from them, or something that only they can do, and why is this child, you know, without parental supervision, those sort of things. So let's just roll a flat d20. Okay. So, no, they don't want anything specific from us. They're just a bratty kid. Alright, so obviously we're not going to add that to our plot threads. Continue on. So, Norkruth buys their indenture for 3 days. And I assume that he wants help with Slaver's disease, but I'm really just making a guess about that. So, I think it's likely, so we'll do another +3 like we did earlier. So he wants them specifically for what they know. Is that about Slaver's disease? No. Or wait, I said +3, right? So actually that makes that 11, which means it's right in the middle, which means that there's some sort of scene interruption happens. So as, you know, Norkruth and Lia and Omer begin to have this conversation. Once money's exchanged hands with the guards and the paperwork's been signed, and he's about to start laying into them, you know, what he wants their assistance for. And, you know, it's a little standoffish, right? And these people they came kind of close to blows last time. Norkruth stole Gimble's boats. And they nearly got into a fight for it. Gimble fired him. And, you know, all that time, Leah's standing right there next to Gimble, helping Gimble out. And ended up, you know, making sure that Norkruth didn't get paid for that job. So, you know, things are a little tense, but something's going to interrupt the scene. So let's find out what this sort of scene interruption is. Alright, so we need let's roll a d20. Alright, a 15. A news report or rumor. Of what? Bribed by or recruit. So some sort of rumor of somebody being recruited, maybe? Or maybe of somebody buying something? Let's see if we can get let's get another object. Let's get an object. What do they buy? Some sort of information. You know what? I'm gonna strike that. I'm not gonna use the information. Lia literally has the flask of bodily fluids on it. I think there's somebody else that shows up that interrupts to try to buy that, just straight off of her. It's like I would like to buy that blood, and just kind of like tries to muscle Northruth out of the situation, because that may or may not be what Northruth is looking for, right? Because we didn't actually get an answer to that question because we got interrupted. Well, let's jump back to our NPC table. Who is this person who's butting in, trying to buy? There. Alright, so obviously that's a D100 table. Beggar, homeless person, or peddler? I'm gonna go with peddler on this one, if they've actually got money. So there's this peddler. Let's see. What kind of... Let's kind of figure out a strata for this. So I'm gonna roll a d6 pyramid. So 1 through 3, 4, 5, 6 for sort of social cast. 6. Wow. Okay. So it's sort of like this clearly very wealthy merchant, kind of. This is much less like somebody who deals in like trading large amounts of commodities or exotics or things like that. This is the sort of person who has like sort of personal collections that they show up to well-to-do residents, nobles, and things like that to show them. They probably have like a customer list. They show up to kind of show them very specific things. And for whatever reason, this well-off peddler wants to buy this flask. Maybe that has something to do with the dead socialite that nobody can recognize. Could be. Okay. What's the... Well, that's the interruption, so what's the offer? I guess let's make an insight check first. Or Leah, I don't... Is Omer going to be particularly helpful in this situation? I mean, they do have help. It's the bonus action. So I think, yeah, Omer is also... And also Omer's a little charismatic, not quite as much as Leah, but still charismatic. So I'm going to give her advantage on this. And she is going to try to get a read on this person. Now, she has a -1 wisdom, and she's not trained in insight, so it's whatever we roll -1. A 9. Okay. Well, what's the DC? I'm gonna guess it's probably above a 9. Yeah, it's gonna be above a 9. Yeah, that's 11. So she can't really get a read on what this peddler, this well-off peddler of probably more exotic kind of things, wants with this. How much money is he gonna offer her? That's a very good question. I got a table. Let's for some cash. So let's do that. So we're gonna go with current. Well, it could be currency, but it doesn't have to be currency. I think they'd probably start off trying to have gold, just straight gold first. I think that makes probably sense. Oh, sorry. So that's supposed to be a D10 and then a D20. So he kind of this peddler kind of butts in, kind of elbows Northruth out of the way. He's like, "I'd like to buy that flask of zombie juice from you. I'll give you 3 silvers." I'm just gonna look up the the cost of a flask real quick, but I'm pretty sure it's more than 3 silvers. And since we didn't get a really good read on them, but we would have a general idea, Lia and Omer, people who live in the world, they would have a general idea of like the cost of things. And so I think that they there. Oh, no, it's 2 coppers. 3 silvers. Well, that's certainly more than the copper's worth, but I guess the real question is, does Norcruth take issue with this? Well, we know that Norcruth either wants them for the zombie stuff, or the slaver sickness stuff, or he wants them for their actual speciality with dragons and primordials. So I think that's probably a 50-50. If I roll high, it's for the dragons primordial thing. Okay, so he's kind of standoffish. Eh. No, I should give him a bonus. Alright, I need to reframe this question because that was dumb, because he does care about both those things. Right, because he would want to know about the slaver's disease, get that information from them, and potentially the bodily fluids, which, I don't know, maybe Norcruth knows somebody who can do some sort of analysis on it. Who knows? So I'm going to re-roll that. Does Norcruth try to stop this deal? I think there's a somewhat likelihood to it. I think it's +3 because he could use it, potentially. And Norcruth's the kind of dude that's always looking to make a deal. So if he can figure out a way to stop the affliction from happening for other people, and he can figure out a way to sell a cure or antibodies or a vaccine or something, some sort of medicine to combat it or prevent it, he would definitely do that. So let's give him a +3. Yeah, Norcruth's a pretty aggressive guy. +3. Does he care? Even a 7, no. He seems pretty stand back. Does Lia think it's a good idea? I guess. Again, we know that Lia's not particularly important to it, but the dude's offering her 3 silver, and this is a person whose daily wage is much higher. It's like 4 gold. So I don't know. It'd be like walking down the street and somebody like offers you $5 or something on your person, like your shoes or something. Not your shoes. That's a bad example. Something low cost. It's almost that it's a weird request, I think, in that the person's being so pushy about it. Even though we failed our insight check as to see if there's anything dodgy about it, the situation's certainly weird. She just doesn't have any insight as to sort of their motive or what they're trying to get for it, or if she can. So I guess Lia in that case would counter offer, right? We've gone through this before. And so she'll make a charisma check. She'll make a persuasion check. Again, she's still got Omer with her, and Omer's charismatic as well, so I think he will give her advantage. So she's gonna haggle. As sort of like people are continually milling out of the muster grounds at this point. And that's pretty good. That's a 21. Let's see what the DC is. I'm gonna guess it's probably not 21. Nope, it's 16. Alright. So she kind of haggles. She's like, well, this fairy, you gotta take it from the source, right? It's clearly very important somebody died for it, and then died again for it. Or because of it. Whatever. Alright, so maybe he beefs it up a little bit, right? Maybe he's gonna give him a little bit more. Oh, that's what we talked about. We talked about, okay, well, if she wouldn't sell it for just straight currency, let's see if she'll sell it for something else. What the counter offer is, because it may not be cash. Right, well, it can't be a 1 through 8, so. Okay. So that means he's gonna, the peddler, I keep saying he, we don't know the peddler's sex or gender. The peddler is gonna offer them a magic item. And this is definitely gonna pique her interest for sure. And that kind of makes sense. Like maybe this person, a peddler that works sort of in the high nobility ranks, probably has access to at least some minor magic items. And that's one of the things that they kind of hawk around. Because, again, they kind of work in very sort of discretion. There's a lot of discretion in that, but there's also a very sort of curated list of items and things that are very specific for the nobles. There's a lot of one-on-one sales and not like trying to move large amounts or volumes of goods. A different kind of salesperson or merchant, I guess. So, alright. So I've got a nice little magic item by adventure tier chart. And so let's roll a d20 on it. We are still, we're first level, still. I was hoping that we'd wrap up something, so maybe we could bump them up to 2, so maybe Lia could stop killing people in brawl fights because she feels like she doesn't have enough HP to handle it. But that hasn't happened, so let's find out. What are they going to offer? 16. Ooh, 16's an uncommon item. Some sort of uncommon magic item. Very cool. Very, very cool. Magic item preference. Sorry, I'm just looking at it. So it's an uncommon. We should. Alright, so I've got a kind of a 4-set pyramid here, so we'll roll a d10. 1 through 4, it'll be a single use item. 5 through 7, it's going to be a multi-use item. 8 or 9, it's an item with charges. If it's a 10, then it's a permanent item. 1. Alright, so a single use item, which is either a potion or a spell scroll. Alright, I guess we can just find that out. Alright, we'll roll a d6, 1 through 3, it's a potion. Okay. So offers them some sort of uncommon potion. What's the best way to do that? Probably dungeon, right? Unfortunately, just there's not really a lot of good things outside of D&D Beyond to use as far as finding a lot of 5e resources or good lists of things. Dungeon's pretty good though. So we know that this is going to be an uncommon item, and we know that it's going to be a potion of some sort. Alright, so we've got a few different potions here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, that makes it easy to roll for. Nine. A potion of... I don't even remember what potion of resistance does. Oh, well, let's say... so let's roll a d10 for that. Type. Alright, so a potion of radiant resistance. Alright, well... I mean, that's not super useful, really, for any adventurer most of the time. Most of the time, you don't run into bad guys that deal a lot of radiant damage. Usually, it's the PCs that end up dealing most of the radiant damage. Unless you're fighting some sort of... some sort of cleric or paladin or something like that. There's just not a lot of call for it. But that does change. That's probably going to change Lia's perspective on things, because the difference in price. I mean, so he went from offering, our peddler went from offering 3 silver for something to jumping immediately to something that's worth like 250 gold. Like, that's a massive swing. I guess they were kind of assuming that Lia didn't know what she had her hands on and how valuable it was. But this person knows how valuable it is. Ooh. Oh, that kind of puts us in a predicament. That's very interesting. Because with that much gold, Lia and Omer could immediately pay off their community service and get back on track to the quest. But how Alright, let's give her another insight check, right? She still has advantage. Because, I mean, that's such a wild swing. And now that she's a wizard, she understands the economics of magic items probably a lot more. And she bought a bunch of scrolls, right? And a bunch of magical supplies when she went from level 0 to level 1. And got fully immersed in sort of that magic stuff. Even though she kind of knew from very sort of theoretical academic sense how magic works. But now she knows some more practical magic. Because she did know how to do firebolt. Because she's an elf. But she knows that this is worth a lot of money. And that's how she has to view it, because it's not particularly useful for her as an actual magic item. And obviously, this person's probably trying to offload this potion because it probably doesn't come up very often. That somebody specifically wants a potion of resistance against radiant damage. Which is suspicious kind of suspicious anybody would even have that, or that there would be an audience for it. And somebody who works like that as a peddler, who buys high-ticket items like that and resells them, had to have had somebody specific in mind for that. And then either that person is not available to buy it, and this blood's worth as much, if not more, these bodily fluids, or so either the person wasn't available or they didn't want it, and you read them wrong. The peddler read them wrong. Alright, well, let's get the inside check. Let's see. And so, for those who are new, the way that I do this with solo RPGs is I'd roll their check first, and then I check the DC, and then I will determine if I need to kind of roll on the GM Oracle to see what information they find out, to give them a defend. Because I don't need to give them myself a definitive yes or no on a question if my character wouldn't know that. So it's a little backwards from how you kind of do D&D usually, but it's fine. It works. I find it works better this way. Alright. So she's got advantage. Again, she's got a -1. It's a 10. She's not super good at reading people. And I think we can probably tell that in his interactions with people. I think that's definitely part of her character. She's not the most empathetic person in the world. Alright, so let's find out the DC. And nope, DC 15. Oh, so is she going to take it? I mean, it's a good deal from her perspective. She can immediately buy this off. I mean, I'm certainly Norcruth will probably talk her out of it. But actually, you know what? You know who might find that potion useful? Norcruth. Norcruth might actually find that useful. As a slaver, I think there are times in which there are a bunch of free people who are either who are runaway slaves that probably try to take sanctuary at like a temple or church or something like that. So there has probably been a few instances in which Norcruth and his people have probably had to fight some clergy, people who do have actual access to radiant magic. So, I kind of like that angle. So, yeah, Lia says, yeah, sure, here, take this blood. I don't care about that. give me the potion. I want the potion. Because this is money. This is big money. Money I desperately need. Where does it go? Let's go back to the top first. Nobody recognizes the court. Indenture. I'm gonna let's alter our story thread a little bit. So we still have the enmity of the Bounty Hunter Guild. Alright, so as far as that goes, technically Northrop is paid 12 gold for that. Give me about 3 days. And we're not really keeping track of Omer's because Omer's got a significantly lesser debt. This might actually pay off his debt. Let's see. Rampant illness. Okay. Alright, so we don't have the flask anymore. There's gonna be the zombie. And let's add that like that. Alright, so we pay it off. So yeah, they make the swap. That's gone. Let me make sure that I can put that on her sheet. No, okay. So they make the trade. This peddler wanders off. Is that peddler going to be important later? We'll just put down the. We'll put them down as a person because if they're able to access magic items, that means they may be useful for Lia in the future. But we're gonna put that down to. I don't actually have one for Cartoonton yet. Good. So I'm gonna make a new one. Oop. So one is gonna be Cartoonton. And Slaver's Affliction. And we'll put from Lia. Just so I remember that later. Like that. Not bolded. Alright, that's good for now. Okay, so yeah, the peddler, we did our peddler interaction. They go off to do whatever they're going to do with this. Northrop was apparently not interested in that, which is a little weird, but that's how it rolls. Maybe he just doesn't. He may just not have the time or resources. Maybe he doesn't know somebody who can analyze it. Maybe he doesn't. He's moving out of town quickly. We don't know yet. But now we're gonna re-roll our, our find. Now that that's happened, Northrop's gonna tell us why the heck he wants us. So again, this is gonna be a flat roll, I suppose, because I don't want another interruption. So, does he... I guess there's... Does he want us... I think it's probably unlikely he wants us for Slaver's Affliction then. Because that was most of what we had that was useful for Slaver's Affliction. So I think it's... probably likely that he wants us for either the Primordial or Draconic thing. So let's give it a plus... Actually, no, I'm not even going to roll for that. He clearly wants us for that. Well, no. No, we don't know. Like, disagreeing with myself before I try to roll. So, do they want us for... Does he want us for the Draconic Primordial aspect? And I'll give him a +5 at this point. I would usually make it just the +3, because it's our specialty and he knows that. And we have a history about that, because... whatever. But I'm going to make it a +5 because it's most certainly probably not for Slaver's Affliction. Okay, 15, yeah. Alright, so he wants us specifically... Does he want us for the Primordial aspect? This thing he's dealt with us with before. No. Okay, so he wants us... He's got something to do with the dragon, and he wants us. And it's something that we can handle that he expects in 3 days. So, probably not chasing down a dragon or killing a dragon, because, well, we're first level PCs, and there's probably not a dragon in the city, so just getting to where the dragon is would probably take us more than 3 days. So I guess he wants... That's a good question. I think... What does he want? What do any of us want? Alright, let's roll this 1d20, see if we can figure out... Alright, obviously he wants us to do something. What does he want us to do? 18. Alright, is it the first half or the second half? Second. Alright, so he wants us to ensure something survives. What is that thing? And it's got to be related to dragon in some way. A bit of extraordinary information or a piece of technology. And technology in this context can also mean something in magic. So something draconic. And it's either a piece of information or technology. It's extraordinary in some way. And we need to ensure it survives. Ensure it survives. I'm trying to figure out what this thing could be. Well, I guess we should just ask, is it a piece of technology? 50-50 shot. Yeah, okay. So it's an item. It's something. Or, no, it's not technically something because there is an item or object. So it's some sort of knowledge about how to do something that he wants to survive in. And he wants them specifically for it. Survive is just such a weird thing to go with here. I mean, the other side is resist. He wants us to resist something, and that also doesn't really particularly make much sense for a piece of technology or information. Generators aren't always 100% perfect, so sometimes if you don't get something that makes sense, we kind of roll again. I've got an idea for an item or an object, an item or object, extraordinary one. Which would make the most sense, I think. So, do we just go with what I have in my head? I think so. Usually, that is one thing that I like to do when I'm doing sort of a solo roleplay like this, is that if you have a good idea, and just go with a good idea, rather than trying to fight your own good ideas. So we'll go with my good idea. Or idea. We'll see if it's good. So the idea is that if it's an extraordinary item or object that we need to survive, it's got to be some sort of egg, right? That's why you get a dragon specialist, is to make sure that to care for a dragon egg. Or a drake egg or something. Some sort of egg that's draconically related. So that makes sense to me. So that's what he wants us to take care of. I'm sure, like, at this point, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. He definitely would have been like, here, I have this very specific thing. I need your help. I assume that he probably has a buyer lined up. We talked about this previously, that Norkruth does capture and turn monsters over, in addition to slaving, sapient races. He also does some light monster hunting and capture to sell for like arena games and things like that, or personal menageries, personal zoos. So I think that there is... So he's definitely got a buyer lined up. So I guess the question is the buyer in Carjunton? If not, they've got to be very close. So I think it's pretty likely. So +3. We already did a scene interruption here, so I don't want to do a scene interruption. But that would be a +3, which would push us to 11. So, yes, they are in Carjunton. Obviously, it's not the peddler, which is a little weird. You'd think that might be the person, unless Norbert doesn't know that that's who that person is. And alright, so he wants us to take care of an egg. Now, have Lia or Omer ever done anything like that before? They've been more academic researchers, so I don't think so, but maybe. I mean, right, just like if you were gonna study biology or something like that, at some point you're gonna do like dissections, you're gonna do like the ducks or chicken, you know, hatchling kind of thing. I think you're pretty intimate with the life cycle, but access to dragon eggs is probably extremely limited. But they probably have some basic knowledge about it. So let's make it a 50-50. Have either of them ever, like, personally dealt with a dragon before? Okay, yes. Yes, and exceptionally so. Is that person Lia? Yes. Okay, that's interesting. So that's something that we haven't had in the backstory before. We don't really have anything in her backstory necessarily that would give her access to dragons. I mean, certainly she did a little bit of military service, not very long though. But I don't think that they would have them care for dragon eggs, so I guess the best idea is that she probably dealt with it when she was supporting adventurers. And let's go over here and let's actually go to Bubble. Because I want to find out. Let's get some draconics going on. Let's see if I see her. Okay, a pseudo dragon makes sense, right? Maybe a wormling or fairy dragon. Okay. Like I could definitely see something in sort of this lower tier. Is maybe something she's had experience with. Now remember, she was like a level 0 character, so I'm gonna go up to CR4 because that's probably the sort of people who would hire her. How many does that give us? How many we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4. And 11. Okay, that's good. That's 19. Immediately what came to my head was Guard Drake. I think that's likely. But I do like the idea of maybe a small wormling or a pseudo dragon or a fairy dragon. And I like those two. So we'll roll a d20. Obviously we'll re-roll a 19, so it's the very last one on it. The red dragon wormling. So she has hands-on experience with a red dragon wormling, and for some reason that was not important for me to put in her backstory, because, I mean, I didn't know it, but it wasn't important. It just hadn't come up till now. But obviously that's one of the things that she got hired for as an adventurer, is that they must have transported the wormling or something like that, and they had hired her on to sort of care for the thing. Which is a bit weird, because she doesn't have any animal handling or nature. So if she was the person they chose for it, then it must have been something arcanely, I guess, because I tend to think that dragons still fall under nature, but I think technically in D&D most information checks about them fall under arcana, because they are magical creatures by nature. Or I guess she would just have the +2 from her background, I guess. Right? Because that's her field of study. Which makes sense. So yeah, I would think she would just get the +2 from her background and then her intelligence. So she would have a +5 to that roll. She just knows how to do that. Okay, so alright, so we know what she was caring for. What is she caring for now? 14. 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14. A silver dragon wormling. Okay. So, less dangerous, so that's nice. from CR4 to CR2. The path is dangerous. Okay. So, alright, so Norcruth. That's 2. Alright, so the question is it an egg? I hope it is, but we don't know. No. Alright, it's a wormling. He has a silver dragon. I mean, I guess arrives. The person's in Argentine, but they're gonna pick them up, or I don't know. Whatever the reason, we gotta hold it for 3 days. So I think Lia's gonna try to probe. Lia's gonna ask some questions about the job. I mean, she's gotta do it either way, right? It's her indenture, and if she Welshes on it, it's gonna be bad, and not very good for her. But she does want to know, you know, and she knows Norcruth, so I'm gonna give her. I guess I give her advantage on this because she knows Norcruth. Omer knows Norcruth even better. Is there somebody actively coming after this thing? That's what she's gonna try to persuade him. All right, so 19. This would be more of a persuasion, right? So +2, so a 21. I'm pretty sure that'll beat the DC, but yeah, DC's 13. All right, so she, you know, they try to get specifics. Is somebody coming after this thing? Yes or no? Knowing Norcruth, I think it's a 50-50 shot. Yeah, somebody's coming after this thing. Great. Is it somebody we know already? A person or group we know? Again, we've already kind of interrupted this scene once. I don't want to do that. That would technically be a yes, but I'm going to reroll it. That would be the same thing, but a no. I want to get something outside that range. No, so it's not somebody we know. That's fine. Alright, so we've got to keep this thing alive. Alright. So what we know is trying to get it. I mean, I'm sure Norcruth knows, but him giving us that information is not going to be a helpful choice because we don't know who this person is. Or I guess we could ask, is it a group of people or a single person? Is it a single person? No, it's a group. Okay. So a group we don't know is trying to get it. Alright, so we've got to hold it for 3 days. It's a wormling, so... Are there any other questions we need to know about this? Are there any other questions we need to know about this? I guess not. There's probably some supplies and things we need, but otherwise we're probably going to... The only other thing is try to keep it hush-hush. I do think that Lia's going to try to leverage the position and how much Norcruth needs her and how cheap he's getting her services. Hers and Omer's services. You need somebody to basically dragon sit for 3 days, and you paid, what, like 24 gold for that? That's not bad. For 3 days, that's 8 gold a day. Take care of a dragon? That's insane. That's a super low price. Alright. So I think she's going to leverage that, and she's going to try to do a persuasion. Be like, yeah, I'll take care of it, but you gotta buy this stupid potion off of me for market price right now. So let's see. Again, Omer's helping push like, yeah, absolutely, but we're gonna need this extra money because we gotta pay off our debts and we got other things we gotta do. You want our help, and you want our good help. You don't want our mediocre help, because mediocre help, who knows what state the dragon's going to be in whenever your buyer shows up to inspect the goods. Could be bad. And I mean, then you gotta explain to the guards why you have an issue with our service, and they're gonna be like, why are you keeping a dragon in our city? And yeah, so it's very hush-hush. Okay, 16. 16's not bad. Oh no. And that's a 21. Yeah, I think so. They're like, yeah, you know, you buy this potion off of us. And that, and I think Norker's like, listen, you cause problems. I'm in the business of making people disappear and reappear somewhere else with no traces to their past. Are you sure that I'm the person you want to try to push into a deal? And I think Omer's like, noted. So yeah, even though we had a pretty good persuasion roll, the DC was too high. Norker has his own leverage to be like, I'll just disappear you if you're a problem, or kill you. Ooh, well, being dead would be a problem. That wouldn't really accomplish our goals. Nor would being sold as a slave to some far-off land either. So I guess we'll watch the dragon. Alright, that's a good question. Where's he holding this thing? So he's obviously holding this thing in town somewhere. We've got 8 different wards in Carrington. So which one is he holding this dragon worm again? 2. Oh, the keys. That kind of makes sense. There's a bunch of warehouses and stuff over there, so... Is there anything that we need to do before... Given how the last check went, I was going to say maybe they try to hit the market before on their way over there, but given how the last check went and how strained this relationship already is, I don't think that Leah's going to push her luck. Be like, hey, but can we make like a detour? Or, unless... Good question. Maybe she will subtly suggest that they would probably need to pick up some items, like as they're walking, and be like, oh, do you have this and this and this to help care for the dragon? Again, Omer's pretty much just health action during a lot of these. Which is just kind of the nature of sidekicks and something that we really need when we're playing by ourselves with only one character. We don't have a larger party to sort of rely on. So, and Leah's not... I didn't put her points specifically into being a very charismatic person, other than her natural charisma. She's not a particularly trained person in that. So that's why I don't feel bad about giving her advantage on a lot of these social checks when she has the sidekick with her who is also a little bit charismatic. So they're going to try to, like, wedge in the shopping trip and use that shopping trip. So technically, I guess this would be kind of a deception check, but it won't matter because she's not trained in any of them for these skills. It's 12. Good pass. It does pass. DC is actually quite low. DC is a 2. He's like, oh crap, yeah, we'll probably need those things. Let's go to the market. I think his attention will be primarily on Leah. So I think Leah's gonna kind of shuffle the potion off to Omer and let Omer kind of take a couple steps back and see if he can find somebody to offload this potion onto. Which is a good question. While they're picking up things at the market, I'm sure it's like bombs for like scale, something, maybe for like wormling teething, you know, some sort of specific live animals they like to munch on, things to take care of their teeth, things of that nature. Give them a buttermilk bath so they shine, just like in Charlotte's Web. Alright, so Omer's gonna go off, and he's gonna... So, first off, D20 question. Can he find somebody in sort of the market areas as they're moving through here to sell off this potion? It's a very expensive item. But we are in a big city, and it's definitely within the buying power of the city. So, I think there's a good chance. There's a 50-50 chance he can find somebody. But he also can't take too long doing it. No, he doesn't. Okay. Oh, actually, that's one with a hindrance. So, that's, okay. So, Omer's trying to shuffle around, trying to sell this thing off. Ooh, and then it's a secret flashback. A vice or virtue, cowardice, bravery, self-preservation. Oh no, what would he... Well, let's kind of figure this out. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we'll just do a D10. Alright, we'll do a D6. That'll make it easier. Roll 6. 2. Alright. Which is either a flashback or a backstory. I think it's going to be a backstory. We don't really know that much about Omer's backstory as a sidekick, because we just turned him into a sidekick very recently. Other than he was also an academic sage, we don't know anything about his background. So there's something that negatively affects, something in his backstory negatively affects his ability to... Well, I mean, it could be that he just got recognized. People were like, yeah, I'm not buying anything from you. You're a discredited person. Is it that? Yeah, let's just assume it's that. I'm not even gonna roll for it. He tries to go to a place that he sees, like, one place that's definitely gonna be able to buy it, or maybe it's just that as he's moving around the market, like, he kind of gets recognized, and then people, you know, kind of give him the shifty eyes as he's going through, and that just kind of shuts down all attempts to sell this thing off, because he's recognized, and because he's discredited, people will probably assume that he's doing some sort of swindling snake oil kind of thing. And so he's not able to sell it off. But we have the thing, and so we should write down the thing before I forget we have the thing. So let's get these treasure down here. So we're going to add an extra bit of treasure down here that we haven't used. So we've got a... Resistance. Alright. I was going to put it in parentheses, but I'll just put it up here. And we know it's uncommon. And it's worth about 252. Alright. So he tries to sell it off. Doesn't work. Cool. Comes back. I think Leia's kind of points Norkruth over to, you know, like, hey, go look at that over there. And as he does that, she kind of like turns back to Omer, and Omer like lifts up the bombs, like, I don't know, I couldn't. Just kind of like silently reminds, like, I wasn't able to sell it. All right, well, off we are to the keys. So head into the keys. I assume it's gonna be in a warehouse somewhere in this area, kind of dingy, you know, dock area, unmarked warehouse rows, you know, things like that. I think Norkruth just kind of brings them to one. Probably gives like a very specific kind of knock on the smaller door that's probably set in the larger sort of hangar doors of the warehouse, and he gets let in. Because remember, Norkruth has a crew as well. I guess here's a good question. Once they enter and take a look around into the warehouse, look around the warehouse, has it been converted? Are they actually using this as like a base of operations, like a normal base of operations? Maybe. No. Okay. I was gonna ask if they should be here, but I'm not sure. I guess I could give Lia an insight check on that. Alright, actually I might give Omer an insight check on that. It's not gonna matter that much, I'll give it Lia. but they're both kind of looking around. They're probably not talking to each other, so I'm not going to give her advantage on this. But Lia's going to try to figure out, like, kind of getting her bearings of the warehouse. Does this look like Norcrew's paying for it, or is he literally sneaking into somebody else's warehouse and holding this thing in here? So, we'll ask that question. Well, let's make the roll first. Let's see if she can tell. Probably not. That's a 7. Oh, maybe. Oh, no, that's a DC 8. We missed it by 1. So she definitely thinks it's dodgy, but she can't. There's no definitive information for her to make that judgment. Everybody's just a little bit cagey anyways. Alright. Well, that's what it is. And then I assume that there is a silver dragon wormling. It is probably chained up. I don't know. Do you put a hood on something like that? I can't remember. Can the wormlings breathe? Like, do they have breath weapon? So dragon wormling, which is in monster manual. Okay. Okay, yeah, they do have a breath weapon. I couldn't remember if the wormlings had breath weapons or not. That makes sense, they do, though. Alright. Well, silver is cold, right? Yeah. Not as familiar with the metallic dragons and their elements as I am with the chromatic ones. Spoiler alert, I don't use dragons that much in my games, so it's a little weird. But that shows up now. But that's what happened, and that's what we're going to roll with. So there is a silver dragon wormling. You know, it's wormling, so it's about the size of a person. They probably got it chained up and caged. I'm sure they probably got some... They've got to have something set up to where it doesn't breathe on them. And I don't know if that's like a hood that they put on it, or like you do for like a hawk or a falcon or something like that. So, I mean, that would probably be the simplest solution, rather than trying to build an enclosure in a warehouse that's like a pit or something where you don't have to be worried about getting breathed on all the time. It's either that or they're keeping it especially still, looking in like one direction, that kind of like isolated and immobilized the head. Which, I don't think Norcrew's that advanced of a monster hunter and capturer have the sort of know-how to do it, and we still don't know if he's supposed to be in this warehouse or not, so we're probably not making modifications to it. But, alright, so I'm gonna guess it's wearing a hood of some type. And they can speak, right? Language is Draconic, yes. Okay, good. Lia and Omer can both speak Draconic. I'm gonna guess the Norcrew, and most of Norcrew's crew do not. Oh, problem is Omer has kind of a bleeding heart about this. He has a bleeding heart. He had a big bleeding heart for the elemental. It means he probably has one for our wormling too, so I guess we'll find out about that. Are there... I guess I'll just make it like a short little skill check thing to see. Yeah, let's just do a couple of short skill checks. Kind of represent the 3 days going by, so we're paid for the 3 days, so they don't have to go back to muster for the next 2 days. And they're not gonna have to pay for lodging either. Like, one of the things with the indenture thing is if you're gonna buy it for multiple days, then it's on you to provide the necessities for that person. And of course, if you don't do that, then there's problems with the government if you're not taking care of them. But I don't know, it's like migrant workers and things like that. I mean, they're still not a great situation to be in. and you definitely don't want to be in that situation. And the legal recourse and the sort of priority of that for sort of law and justice systems is really reduced. Right? They're not super interested in making sure that day laborers are, well taken care of by the people who buy their indenture. So we're gonna do some DCs, and then I think between each DC we'll check to see if a random encounter happens. Because remember, there's somebody who's trying to get this creature. So, but Norcruth has agents. Is there? Well, they know Norcruth's just a relatively smart guy. He knows that the more people that are in the warehouse, the more likely it is that it's going to draw attention. So they probably feed most people out. So it's probably Lia, Omer, and a handful of guards, maybe. Let's roll. I think maybe like 2d4 guards. Okay, so it's Lia, Omer, and 7 guards. And those guards are more, of course, those guards are there to make sure that Lia and Omer stay there and don't do anything dumb. But they're also to protect to kind of keep the wormling contained and protect from outside threats. And I think they're probably, well, I guess that's a good question. No, and they wouldn't have uniforms, so you wouldn't be able to tell whether their street clothes were related to Norcruth or not. They don't really have an emblem or anything like that. These are slavers who are not mercenary camp. So, interesting. Alright, well, let's set our DCs. So I think 3. Do you want to do 3 or 5? It's 3 days. Let's do 5. That's kind of a long time to care for something like that. So let's do 5 instances. We'll just do this setup real quick. Don't need that. Probably don't need that for right now. Let's just keep it focused here. Alright, so the first DC was, sorry, it was 10. No, not starting off great. That's DC 20. What's our second? Also DC 20. And then DC 15. So that's kind of the problem with using random DCs, is that sometimes they're really high, sometimes they're really low, and you have to be prepared for that. I mean, obviously, white dragons, and I assume silver dragons, are not known for being the most intelligent. They're definitely the most brutish of the dragon types. Alright, that's a little bit better. That's 14. 14 and 13. Alright, so it definitely just kind of de-escalates. And this DC represents, well, I guess it's the question, I don't know, we'll table that right now. It's just to care for the dragon. Alright, so before that, we're going to roll our d12 to see if anything kind of shows up. Anything's going to go right. 3. No. Alright. Now, Lia and Omer are both there. Lia's got a +5 to this roll. And she's got Omer with her, who also speaks Draconic and can communicate with this thing, because the Wormlings don't speak Common, they only speak Draconic. And they're both at least very knowledgeable about dragons. Lia specifically in the handling and care of dragon as well. So I think it makes sense that she would get advantage on it. So there is a potential that she could pass these skill checks. It's still difficult though. Yeah, so she fails the first one. Alright. and then we'll kind of figure out the repercussions for what happens if they fail. I'm gonna guess that Norcruth won't be happy. It's either Norcruth won't be happy, or it's gonna probably be that, taking shifts on and off, for sleep and things like that, that Omer's gonna get soft and gonna try to let this thing go, and that's gonna be a real crap show. That's what it's gonna be. But let's see, is there, and I guess I can just do it this way, is there some kind of encounter? No. Okay. And this pretty much represent primarily either the dragon doing something, or the people who are after this thing showing up for it. But they didn't. Okay, so we passed that one. We got a 23. We're back in the game, baby. Back in the game. We got it. We got this. Maybe. Definitely maybe. Okay? Nothing yet. Okay, 15 plus 5, that's 20. So that's another pass. Okay. We just need one more. And the DCs are going down, which is good for us. Alright, so we passed. Oh. Gotta check if something happens first. Duh. So the entire thing was set up. Okay, so nothing happened, and we passed. So Norcruth has done a pretty good job of hiding us, it seems like. And we've done a good job of sort of containing and keeping the thing. It's probably drugged to some extent, right? Try to keep it more docile, so it doesn't make a whole bunch of noise, which would definitely draw a bunch of attention to it real quick. And alright, somebody show up before the end. And alright, so we did good. We got an 80. 4 out of 5, 80%. So, a B. We got a passing grade. Probably from Norcruth's knowledge. I mean, I don't think Norcruth has a lot of knowledge about the monsters he captures other than what they are and what they're worth. But certainly, it didn't seem like he knew how to take care of it. That's why he asked them and then was very quick to jump on their recommendations in the shopping trip. So I think he probably thinks they did a phenomenal job. But now it's time to do the deed. We've got to make the deal. So somebody's gonna show up to buy this thing, right? I assume, or has already bought it from Norcruth, and Norcruth had to go out and get it, which is kind of what happened with Water Myrmidon. He was tasked to get it and didn't, and that's the whole thing. But this is gonna put him. The creature's in good condition because they did a great job of taking care of it. And they basically did 20% more of taking care of it than they needed to from a passing grade perspective. So the thing's in good condition. It's relatively docile. Omer's holding it together, right? I'm sure Leah's done a lot of talking to him and trying to keep him in line because she knows how he gets and she's known him for a long time. And I think this is one of those situations where it's very important, but at what cost is this worth to us? Because it goes very badly if we let this thing free and then Norcruth disappears us, or the guards get involved, and then we're abetting some sort of dragon trade, which is probably illegal. And certainly shouldn't have it in the city. I guess it's a good question, though. Who shows up to buy this thing? I'm going to roll on the 1D100 table. But I'm not going to beholden myself to it because it's a very specific sort of person, probably has the money and the desire to own a dragon wormling. I feel like that list is pretty short. I'm giving myself veto power is what I'm saying. Fisher, herder, or drover. Well, that didn't really make sense, so let's roll again. Like I said, this is going to be a very specific kind of person. 54. Oh. Interesting. So 54 is actually not a standard sort of NPC. And there are a few of those in here on this list. So most of them are pretty standard people, but occasionally you come across a few that aren't. It's just mixed up to make it kind of fun. And this is one of those, is that 54 is a restless spirit. So a restless spirit wants to get the silver dragon. I'm going to buy it. So I guess the question is, so the door kind of opens. Somebody steps in with probably their entourage to meet Norkruth and his. They kind of do their, iconic sort of media representation of a drug deal, right? Where people are on sides and you got the stuff, I got the cash, that kind of thing. So it's a restless spirit that's coming here. So my first question is going to be, is this restless spirit incorporeal? And by that, or let me rephrase that. What I want to know is this restless spirit possessing somebody else? I didn't think that's 50-50. I don't know. No. Okay, so they're not possessing somebody else. Is somebody else doing it on their behalf? Yes. Okay. So a restless spirit, because it's a restless spirit, like a ghost or a specter or whatever it is, those things usually don't, at least in D&D, usually don't communicate. I'm pretty sure. I close Cobalt, and of course, the moment I close it is when I actually need it. So let's open it back up. So what we need? We need some undeads. Ooh, could be a banshee. That's a fun one. So it would make sense. Yeah, so we got like a specter. That's probably a good one. Oh, I was assuming restless spirit meant incorporeal, but it could be corporeal. I guess it's a good question. Is it corporeal? Yes. Well, technically that would be an interrupt. I don't want to do an interrupt scene with this. Not for this question. Like, I'm okay for an... No, I rolled the interrupt. Let's do the interrupt. But first, I still want to know the answer to this question. Well, it has to be yes, because it's above a 10. So it's corporeal. So it's a corporeal undead. So I'm just making a note for myself real fast. Because sometimes when I do an interrupt scene, I have trouble being like, wait, what was I doing? Ooh, where exactly was I? Corporeal undead with representation, which makes it seem like a lawyer. It's not. Just somebody speaking for him. Alright, so what's our interrupt scene? So we show up in our iconic dragon smuggling scene with our two lines of people in parallel. And there's this sort of ghoulish figure kind of behind whoever's talking, probably making real yummy eyes at the dragon. Wants to probably eat this dragon for a very specific reason, obviously. Why a dragon? Alright, well, let's find out what our interrupt scene is. So, our subject... Well, creature, extraordinary. Well, we got an extraordinary creature in this scene. And that's our dragon. So, what's gonna happen? Hide or obfuscate. would mean that the dragon hides, or somebody's trying to hide the dragon. No, the dragon's trying to hide. Let's see if we can get an object. What is the dragon trying to hide? Where else this game? A news report or rumor. I don't know what that would be. I'm gonna roll again. Oh, trying to hide a hazard or obstacle. An ordinary one. So they're trying to hide some sort of hazard. But what sort of hazard would a chained up wormling be able to concoct? So I think it's more of it's a trap sort of situation, I think. Oh, well, why don't I just use the actual dragon wormling power? Here, let me put it on the left side so you guys can see it. Oh, not the left top, the left side. There we go. Let's go here. So, down here on Silver Dragon Wormling, of course they had the cold breath, which is what I saw first. But they also have paralyzing breath. So clearly, as soon as this group of people move close to it, it's going to try to paralyze everybody. And I think that just goes off now, right? As they move closer to sort of inspect the thing, and the thing's hood finally gets taken off, because the only other time it's probably either ever removed its hood during the past 3 days is to feed. But they want to, they're inspecting the goods right before they make the trade. And as they do, then the dragon's like, boom! Gonna hit them with the paralyzing breath. So everybody's gonna make saves. The only people we really care too much about is Lia and Omer. So Lia, what is it? DC 13 Constitution. So here's Lia's. Alright, so Lia got a 3, so Lia definitely failed. What did Omer get? Ah, Omer. Ooh, is that because Omer's in on it? Maybe he's got a soft heart after all. He was just extremely good at hiding it. He must have done all that talking in Draconic while back and forth with the dragon. It's like, look, I got a plan. We're gonna get your things done. I like that. I'm gonna go with that. Well, I guess we should ask the Oracle. Is Omer in on it? +3, I think yes. Given his background and what we know of him, and what he's done previously. Is Omer in on it? No, Omer's not in on it. Even with the +3, that's a 9, and that's a no. I didn't even roll that here. Okay, so Omer's not in on it. Okay, he's just to the wide berth, maybe a kinship with Omer. I'm sure Omer's been very sympathetic to it, or he was just outside the blast range. No. But it hits most of those things. Ooh, now we need to know what type of undead it is, because if it's an undead that does paralysis, they can be immune to paralysis sometimes. So now we gotta figure out, and obviously, or I guess the big question is, does this creature have a way to get itself free? Like immediately? Like, has it worked its way, like popped some of the rivets out? Because the wormling's still pretty strong, right? Yeah, I mean, it's still got a +4. Still got a 19 strength. And it's had time to work on maybe like the rivets on the manacles that are around itself. Just slowly but surely picking away at it. Because remember, they're smart, right? They've got a 12 intelligence. They're smart creatures. Smarter than the average human. Smarter than the average human. So, we'll just ask the question. Does it have immediately have a way to free itself? No. Okay. So it's just kind of gonna hit it. Hit everybody. Alright, how do Norcruits do on this save? We don't have stats for Norcruits, so we'll just roll them flat. He failed. And Norcru's lackeys. Since they're lackeys, I'm going to give them disadvantage. I'll do the same for the other guys. Oh yeah, definitely fail. Alright, the other guys' lackeys. Yeah, fail. But now we need to know what type of undead it is. So it's a corporeal undead. We know that. Ooh, it could be a Deathlock White. That'd be a fun one. How many we got here? How many undeads we got? Quite a few. Quite a few. But less than 25? Sometimes it's easier to do 10 per page to figure that out. Okay, so 20... Okay, so 23. So, let's roll. What do I do for 23? I guess I'll roll a 30. Alright, so whatever 10 is. So it's the bottom of the first page. Oh, Minotaur Skeleton. Well, that's not going to work. We'll use the ghast above it. The ghast will work. And the ghast is one of the ones I think is, unfortunately, I think it's one of the ones that is immune. Nope, just poison. Okay. Charmed, exhaustion, poison, but not paralysis. But then, man, ghasts are tough. Because ghasts can make ghouls, and ghouls are bad. And ghasts are bad. Right, because they do... Now, elves used to be immune to ghoul paralysis. I don't know if they still are in fact. I feel like I don't remember that being in the stat block. If that comes up, I may, if I want to do the flavor thing, try to figure that out. Because it kind of sucks to have your main character paralyzed in a fight, and then have them essentially die because of it, which is not what I want, but we'll see. But it's not, so but it is going to make a straight save, and it's got a 0 bonus. Alright, so it passed. So everybody gets slammed with his paralysis breath. Omer's kind of at the edge, and he's fine. The gas party gets hit. Norcru's party gets hit. Norcru gets hit. Lia gets hit, but this gas, I think this gas just kind of runs forward and is going to like kind of hop on this thing. So it's probably going to be initiative time. And I think we're right at the cusp of cutting off the stream. But I do want to do this fight. I don't want to wait till next week to do this fight. I want to do this fight. But because of that, I am going to take just a quick break so I can get something to drink and use the bathroom. Then I'll be back, and we'll do the initiative, figure out this fight, and that'll be all good. I'll be back in just a second, guys. See you then. Alright, I'm back. Thanks for hanging in there. We've got a very, very peaceful background. Let's see if I can do a little bit more. What does this sound like? Good. Yeah, we can go with that. That works. All right, let's do initiative. All right, so here's what we're doing. We've got Lia. We've got Omer. And we've got Norcru. I'll roll from Norcru. Well, no, I'll put Norcru for 10. Usually, for any of the sort of NPCs or bad guys, they usually just kind of take 10 for their initiative. But Norcru doesn't really have any stats, so at least not right now. And we've got our ghast, whose dexterity is a +3. Okay. he goes on 13. We'll put him at 13, and this is going to be... I'll make this Gaston crew. Yeah, more crew. And I'm going to say that they're probably pretty equitable as far as the number of people who are going. So we just need to figure out Lia and Omer. I almost forgot, there's dragon coming in here. Who do we? Alright. And let's see. Which demon? Way too many demons. Go back to the Riders, dragons. That's it. And I'm gonna give him. I'm gonna give the dragon. Now, we haven't really talked about this too much in sort of our solo playthrough. A silver dragon wormling is technically lawful good. I don't usually play with alignments. I don't find them particularly useful. But I understand people find them useful. Other people find them useful. I just don't find them particularly useful for my games. Because I like the idea that a dragon is a big, powerful creature, and it, like most people and other creatures, are selfishly motivated, which means that they do things that ethically we might consider good or ethically we might consider bad, depending on whatever the situation is they're in. Alright. Let's find out Lia. So, I don't want it to make it seem like we are necessarily evil people because this is, by default, a good creature. I mean, we don't need it to be a good creature to be like maybe capturing and selling thinking beings was maybe not super great. Alright, 14. And Lia has a +1, right? Yeah. Alright, so Lia's at a 15. So Lia has the initiative, even though she's paralyzed. And Omer. What are you doing, Omer? Omer's flat. Omer's going last. Omer is surprised. I mean, not mechanically surprised, just surprised at the start of events. Oh. That's interesting. There we go. Alright. Lia's up first. I believe that means that she makes a save? Paralyzed and gassed in a 15-foot cone. Or be paralyzed for 1 minute. Oh, they can repeat each of its turns. Alright, well, it's a turn where she's paralyzed. She can't do anything. So she will roll her saving throw. Nope. Lia's gonna be sitting this one out, it seems like. Alright, the gasted crew. Well, the crew's... but the gas is gonna run forward. I assume the gas goes for the wormling? I'm not even gonna roll for it. I don't want to complicate things. The gas is here for the wormling. The wormling's chained up. The gas is going for the wormling. Which would I would consider it restrained, so he'll have advantage on the attack. This affects turn undead. Oh, any creature that starts to turn within 5 feet of the gas is poison. Start turn. Alright, well, I'm going to assume that by proxy that the gas friends have made this stench saving throw before. That they're kind of used to being around it. Because they're henchmen for a ghast, I guess. I guess they're humanoids too, which is weird. This could be a very interesting enemy if it turns out into being something. But it's going to jump in and attack. So it's going to zip through everybody. Everybody else is frozen. Everybody else failed except Omer. And Omer was clearly, we talked about him being outside the spray, so straight line shouldn't be a problem. Gonna run through, and I think Gas only gets one attack. Yeah, they don't have multi-attack, so they just get one attack. Yeah, clearly it's gonna try to paralyze the dragon with its claw attack. Nine. So that's a big old 12. I'm pretty sure that doesn't hit a dragon's AC, but let's go back. Let's double check. I don't need to open this up in a separate thing. I don't have to flipping through it. Yeah, AC 17. Definitely does not hit. Alright, cool. Gas does, tries to jump on this thing. Still, well, technically he has advantage, right? Because creature's restricted. Oh yeah, that definitely hits. Never mind. I'm stupid. Alright, I'm gonna have to look this up. I think these are all in the SRD, so that shouldn't be a problem. Here, I just look this up so I'll have it. Alright, the gas does 2d6 plus 3 slashing damage. Alright, 6 points of damage. The dragon technically has 45, so it's down to 39. And it needs to make a con saving throw. Or be paralyzed. That's honestly going to do much to it. Alright, so, and paralyzed. And we can try to save from it later. Does the gas crew save? No. Nor crew save. Yes. Does his crew save? Yes. Okay. Great, guys. You guys are going to be on it. You're good, and... Alright, and then that brings us down to Omer. Omer, what's Omer going to do, actually? He's still technically on the job. I guess that's a good question. How does Omer feel about the undead? I mean, more than how most people feel about the undead. How... Does he strong... I should put it this way. Does he... Is he compelled to fight the undead? Yes, but not a lot. Okay, so he's gonna try to... This gas comes to attack the dragon. He's freaking out, right? He didn't know... Yeah, I guess that makes sense, because Omer... They didn't really get the specifics as to why they were selling it. They just kind of assumed that it was for a menagerie or arena games or something like that. Not that, a ghast was gonna eat it. Which seems like maybe that's what they were just buying it to do. So that's very interesting. So yeah, he's compelled to fight. Omer is not much of a fighter, though. He doesn't even have a ranged weapon. That's silly. He should have a ranged weapon. That would be silly not to have, but I'm not going to give him a big one. He'll just have a sling. And so he's got the same 1d4. So yeah, because I don't think that he probably... I went to the wrong thing. I think Omer's a pretty squirrely kind of guy. We've kind of set that up. So he's definitely not going to go into melee with this thing. So he's going to just try to slap it with a little sling bullet action. I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure a 9 doesn't hit. Yeah, 13. Alright. He misses. Yeah, what are you gonna do? And so, play will pass to our Silver Dragon, who is paralyzed. So our Silver Dragon Wormling will attempt to save. Right. Actually, I didn't check to see if they were immune from conditions, are they? Cold. That makes sense. But yeah, no, alright, so it's definitely paralyzed. Its con is +3, so it's got a pretty good chance to save. It doesn't roll garbage. Yeah, that passes. Alright, Silver Dragon is no longer paralyzed. Perfect. Oh wait, it's not. Okay. I'm going out of order. Why am I going out of order? It's the top of the round. It's Lia's turn. There. Lia will try to make her save. I guess I would have just used that for her save. I rolled a 13. I'll just use that for her save. No, which is what I needed for the... Okay. Cool. Alright, so... Yeah, so then she is free. So that's hers. The ghast will make another attack. This thing is paralyzed. Which means... I can't remember if that means its bite does more damage or not. No. Oh, is anybody within... Probably nobody's within 5 feet of it right now, except for the dragon? I guess I should have made a save for the dragon. For the stench. Alright. And poisoned. We'll add that to the list. It's paralyzed and poisoned. Not that that really matters. Because the only person next to the ghast right now. Lia's safe, so she's good to go. But that's her entire turn. The ghast will... it's here to eat. So I think it's going to make a bite attack instead of a claw attack. Because the thing's already paralyzed. It's already got advantage on it anyways. So the paralysis isn't actually that bad. It doesn't affect from where the thing was already starting out. And it has a +3 to attack, right? Yes. Alright, so 14 + 3 is 17, which is exactly what we need to hit. And the bite only does D4, I think. Oh, no, bite does more damage. 2d8 + 3. Not bad. Wow, 15 points. Ugh. That's big time. Which takes us down to... that'd be 29, so 24. Okay, right. What? I just lost my mind. I can't math. Minus... what is it? Minus 15. 15 + 24. 24. Losing my mind. I'm trying to do math and keep everything straight. That's alright. And so, that's the Silver Dragon's turn. Silver Dragon. Sorry, the Silver Dragon. There we go. Alright, Silver Dragon hangs out and gets eaten. Alright, so the first against the paralysis. Nope, fails. Against the poison. Fails. Man. Dragon, do you want to be food? Because it seems like you want to be food. It seems like you want to be eaten. Alright. Norcruth and crew are good. I think the... What's Norcruth doing? So the other guys are still paralyzed. Norcruth and his crew are out of it. I think they're going to take this opportunity to just, like, absolutely gang up on this stupid ghast. I think that would be what Norcruth would do, is he would just be like, this thing's going to eat their merchandise and then probably not make the deal, so let's just kill this thing. So yeah, I think they're all gonna fall on it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make instead of going through all the individual attacks for normal crews and normal crew, we're kind of abstracting this. So I'm gonna do a dex save from Ghast. And their dex save is... Ooh, natural 1. Well, you're not passing any save with a natural 1. So I was going to do just sort of equitable level damage. Just to find out how many of these we can roll. Alright, so we're going to take 3d10 damage. Then we just chop this thing in little bits real quick. Alright, 21 damage. I don't think it's got any resistances, does it? Probably, you know, they're just hacking this thing apart. Alright, so it goes from 36 hit points to 15. Of course, that does put them in the sort of rank for being poisoned on the start of their next turn, but not this turn, which is why they fell. I mean, Omer's gonna keep doing Omer stuff. No, actually, you know what? Omer's gonna try to help, because Omer's not much for combating. He's instead gonna run over and try to use his help action. Oh, he does both, actually, I forgot. That's one of his special things. He's an expert sidekick. So he'll swing, and then he's gonna go and help Lia so she can get advantage on her next save. Try to get her out of being paralyzed. But he'll do a sling attack as well. Hey, let's go. 3 points of damage as he slaps the Ghast in the head with a slinging bullet. Is this thing's like turning around, like fighting, like there's a number of people around now just like surrounding it, just kind of dogpiling on this thing, stabbing it. And it's got a very sort of like Julius Caesar kind of feel to it, except instead of, you know, Caesar, it's this crazy undead that's trying to eat things. And they're just chopping it to pieces. It's a lot of very savage butchery wet work. It's probably not a very fun scene. This thing's probably screaming in all sorts of undead crazy voice as it's sort of reaching out and scratching at people. And then he'll get the help action over to Lia. It's Lia's turn. Maybe she can not be paralyzed. That'd be nice. This third one. Yay! Alright, so Lia is no longer paralyzed. Hooray! Alright, Ghast and crew. Does the crew save? Nope. Ooh, does the Ghast have a lot of self-preservation? Ghasts are intelligent undead. Right? So, how smart is the human intelligence? But one of the things that comes with like ghouls and Ghasts is that they have this sort of extreme hunger, right? This craving for flesh, for living flesh. But they do have self-preservation. So does this thing just try to get the heck out of Dodge? Because they're gonna rock him. They're gonna chop this thing to pieces probably in the next turn. Does this thing run away? I think that's extremely likely. Again, they have human-sized intelligence. Ghasts are smart and dead. I think they can even talk, right? Yeah, they can talk. So, I'm gonna give him a +5, because I think it's extremely likely. Is this thing gonna run away? Is it gonna flee the scene? With +5, that's 13. Yeah, so it's gonna flee. So it will take a... I don't think it has any special movement, right? No, speed 30. It will disengage and probably run back the way it came in, so it can use its paralyzed compatriots as a buffer. So it's gonna quickly make its exit. which means that it moved. So, the wormling is paralyzed. Is it still paralyzed? No. Is it still poisoned? No. Okay, so it's fine. But I'm gonna guess that the wormling's probably pretty enraged by now. So things are probably not gonna go well when its turn comes back around again. Norkruth and crew are not poisoned because the gas moves, so they're not starting their turn next to it. But they are next to a dragon wormling, which was paralyzed. I mean, it's still restrained, so it's not going to be able to take attacks of opportunity on it anyway. I think they fall on the gas crew. They're there. They're going to have advantage against it, so we'll give them a... Let's give them a dex save. Of course, they have disadvantage on it. We'll just try to figure out how many of them are left after the first round, because they're going to be pretty easy targets for these kind of professional fighters. Alright, yeah, that's going to be a fail. I think we kind of talked about 7 and 7. So let's roll a d8. This will be how many are left. 3. Okay, so there are 3 of the crew left. I said Norkruth and his friends are basically cutting them down. Again, Norkruth not a really great guy. Still a slaver. You know, his values of what human life are worth are probably a little skewed. And so he probably has no problem just cutting these people up in the warehouse. I mean, they're making certainly a ruckus, though. And it is Omer's turn. Will Omer pursue the undead? Probably not. I don't think he will. But let's roll for it. I think it's unlikely. -3. 13, yeah. It's still in sling range, so he doesn't really have to go after it. So he'll take a sling. He'll take a pot shot at the thing. I think that's a 12. Check. And 12 will not hit. Its AC is 13. Yeah. Alright, so he misses. He takes a little slingshot. Is there anything he would aid? No, at least doesn't have anything he would aid for. Alright, so that's him. The gas is gonna make it out of the warehouse at this point. Totally out. Gone. Going on. Screw it up. Alright, so the gas is out. Crew, are they still paralyzed? No. They just passed. Right, so they're not paralyzed anymore. Which means they're probably gonna flee as soon as they can. Ooh, now it's Silver Dragon Wormling. Silver Dragon Wormling did their thing. Okay. Oh, I forgot to keep rolling the breath recharges. Let's roll some breath recharges. What? 2 rounds? 3 rounds? By at least 2 rounds. Okay, okay, so it got its weapon back, and now it's free, and now it's just gonna... Oh man, if it breathes, they're smoked. All its captors are... It could try to kill everybody, but it could also try to get away. And everybody's kind of spread out, so the likelihood that they're going to... No, I guess we try to paralyze everybody rather than kill them. I don't know. We're going to try to get out. I guess I need to determine, do I think that this thing can get out of its irons in one action? No. Alright, so it's a multi-action thing. So I think it's going to attempt to get out of its irons. So it's going to make a strength check. Not with an 8. It's not getting out with an 8, for sure. Alright, well, it's working out its binds. It didn't breathe on anybody. Probably should have. But it didn't. That's what I chose not to do. As much as I want to smoke Lia, and I'm not necessarily trying to save her for that, but she also hasn't done anything yet. But now she is in a situation, and she's like, oh, I'm standing in between a dragon and a bunch of people who have captured a dragon. This is not a very good place to be. I'm going to move. Omer, move. So honestly, I think they're probably going to take cover behind some crates or something. It's still a warehouse, so the crates or something, so that way they don't get breathed on. And she's going to take a shot at, I assume, one of the crew. 7 plus 5, right? So 12. Probably not going to hit anybody. And she would have used a cantrip, so no big loss there. The ghast is boogie woogied. The crew is going to disengage and run away as well. Because they're now safe, the 4 of them that are left. Oh, I skipped Did I skip Norcruth? I skipped Norcruth and his crew, didn't I? I think I did. I'm not doing a very good job of keeping up with the initiative today. I don't know what's going on. So, let's just keep going where we were. So, the Wormling did their thing. The crew ran away. The Wormling, is it going to try to get out of its irons? No. Alright, it's going to breathe on Norcruth and crew, because they have not moved. Because I probably did the initiative order wrong. But they may not have turned around and tried to flee after them, or chase after them anyways, because they still got to deal with the dragon, who is now unhooded. Alright, Norcruth and crew will make dexterity saving throws, I believe. Oh no, they're con saves. They are con saves. Alright, for Norcruth. That's a failure. And for his crew, and that's a failure too. Alright, which means they're going to take 48 cold damage. Alright, first off, that absolutely smokes everybody in the crew. All the henchmen are gone. Just absolutely obliterated by frost. Is that enough to kill Norcruth? $22 hit points. He hadn't gotten hit yet. That would kind of put him at a level 2, 3-ish character. Definitely within like the CR, capping out of the CR4 range. So it's definitely possible that he would survive that. So let's just, do I want to give it a 50-50? He's a recurring NPC. I think there's still some fun things we could do with him, so I'm going to give him a little bit of a bump. Just again, from a story perspective. Just give him a little bit of a bump, since we don't have stats for him. As I wasn't expecting to bring up Norcruth in a fight today, or else I would have stabbed him out. Actually, let's look at something like the veteran. Right? That'll kind of give us a good gauge. What does the veteran do? What the veteran do? Oh yeah, the veteran's got 58 hit points. But in the veteran's CR3, I think that's sort of kind of how I imagine Norcruth anyway. So yeah, alright, so he's not smoked. But he definitely got, I cleared it. It was 20-something, 28, right? But he definitely got hit hard. So yeah, I think everybody's taking cover at this point. I guess this is true. Are Lia and Omer in the blast for that? No. Okay. So they got behind some crates and they're out of the way, and alright, so we're good there. Let's play this. Let me play this over again. Alright, so now we've got a Wormling. Is this Wormling going to try to... Well, it's back to Lia's turn. It's top of the order. No, it's not. It's Norcruth's turn. What the heck is Norcruth going to do? What is Norcruth gonna do? Ooh, is he gonna demand or try to get Lia and Omer to calm down the dragon? That's a good question. No. That's a pretty severe no. It's not full harsh no, but it's definitely no. It's a strong no. Is he gonna flee? Yeah. Norcruth knows that discretion is the better part of valor. He understands when something is a lost cause, sunk cost fallacy, and he's like, yeah, I can't really deal with it, even a small dragon wormling by myself. There's a high chance that it would kill me. It just showed me that. So I'm probably gonna boogie out. Which I think, because that's the case, I'm gonna guess that he doesn't own this warehouse. Maybe it's abandoned. It's an abandoned warehouse. One that's like unoccupied. Maybe it's for lease or something. So yeah, Norcruth books it. Which is that's gonna leave Lia and Omer in a spot when the person who just bought their indenture for 2 more days. Well, no, this would be the 3rd day. Sorry. So they're gonna be completely thing. And just kind of boogies out. All right. That leaves Lia at the top. What the heck is Lia gonna do? Now she's just in this place with the dragon. So is there anything she'd want to do while she's here? I don't think she has anything to do anything. I mean, she's level 1 PC. She knows that she can't go toe-to-toe with this thing, and it's upset. I guess they try to talk it down. They'll try to talk it down. They can speak to this thing, which nobody else could. So Lia's gonna lead the charge on this, and I guess we'll pull out of combat now? No. Ooh. Ah, man. Alright, yes. I'm just trying to figure out how I want to do this. Lia's gonna try to talk it down. No, it makes sense that Omer's trying to talk it down. Lia's going to assist Omer, because Omer's going to have the better... He's already the bleeding heart. He's probably talked to this thing a lot. He's going to be very apologetic. Even though, technically, she has a bonus, he would just help. Or he would just go ahead and do it. And Lia will assist Omer's. Omer's going to try to talk this thing down. So let's make a persuasion roll. Charisma. That's a natural question, man. Omer says whatever he needs to say. I was going to make this a best of 3, but usually in those situations, a natural 20 or a natural 1 count as 2 failures or 2 successes, just like they do with 5e death saving throws, which got carried over from sort of like 4e in their implementation of the skill check system. Alright, what the heck does Omer say to this thing? I bet he's like, I'm so sorry, I had no idea they were planning to deal with undead creatures and blah 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 blah. Did Omer... It's just Norhol. Did Omer promise to help try to get the wormling out of the city and free it? He did. Okay. So I think they come out from behind the crates, they kind of like put their weapons and stuff away and kind of hold up their hands, like walk over and start doing what they can. I assume that Norcruth's left with like the keys to the shackles and things like that, so they're not going to be able to do anything about that. But they'll have to sort of get them, pop the rivets out, which the dragon definitely has the strength to do this. and especially with Lia, who's got a little bit of strength, can help as well. Alright, so I think that's probably going to bring us to an end here. Okay, so we're going to have to, let's say that Lia and Omer can help the silver and escape credit. Alright, so then we'll have two different groups going after us. So we're going to have North Cruise is going to want to like reclaim his property. And then we've got the Ghast. Alright, well that'll give us a good idea for what to happen next time. So, one thing, and I think they're going to get it out of the irons, and one thing that I want to find out right now is that, are they going to, because they're not going to leave, they're not going to leave this location. I don't know what they're going to do. Are they going to... well, what I was trying to figure out is, would Arias try to send them a message back? But if he did that, he would have sent it to the inn. I guess I'll make a note, so if they go back to the inn that they were staying at. I'll just put this note right here. Back to the inn for I'll make a response. For whatever reason, Arias didn't show up to the muster. Which we don't know. We don't even. I mean, technically, we don't even know if Arias is alive or still at the university. We haven't had any contact with Arias since they've probably left Riverside Conservatory. So maybe if we can get this dragon thing situated, we can get to the conservatory and find out something, and maybe Norcruise will stop screwing up our plans like he has been. Or else we're probably gonna have to fight. And I'm gonna put this down here because now we're basically committing that Norcruise is a veteran. Alright, well, I think that's a good place to end up this room, so we'll figure out what they're going to do. They're going to have to hatch a plan to try to get this thing out here. I assume they'll probably try to smuggle it out on one of the boats, one of the barges on the river. That's probably the easiest way to move something like that. Either that or make a very weird disguise for it, that make it look like something else, or maybe they can get a magic scroll or something to do. Maybe they can sell off that potion they got, get a scroll of disguise self or something like that. And, probably not disguise self, maybe polymorph or something like that. Try to change the dragon, get it out of town easily. But that's where we'll end it. We'll pick this up. Should pick this up next week, next Sunday. Had the week off. I've got some plans that are going to change. We'll probably end up changing this because my D&D game that has been online on Thursdays was originally a Sunday afternoon D&D in person. And I think we are going back to that in a few weeks. And I have the schedule. I don't have it in front of me. In a few weeks, we're going to do that. So at that point, I'll figure out when I'm going to do these streams. I don't know if I'm going to move them to... I might move them to Saturday. That kind of packs my weekend up. I may do it a Thursday night stream, which is an alright time. That might be a lot easier than trying to do it on Saturday, because I feel like if I put it on Saturday, I'll always end up with a bunch of conflicts with the schedule, and I don't really want that. I want to stay pretty consistent. And if that's not my Thursday night, if my Thursday night isn't taken up by D&D, then I can take it up with the stream. Now, we probably won't have quite as long of streams. Like, I probably wouldn't have done a fight today, right? Because it's what? Yeah, I mean, it's 40 minutes past when I kind of scheduled the sessions to end, but I definitely wanted to do this fight. And it was kind of weird and kind of led to some other stuff. Very interesting situation. I'm starting to wonder if the gas is connected to the zombie and all that's connected to the slaver's affliction. But we don't know if that's the case yet. And Lia's not particularly interested in following that thread, so you know, our likelihood of finding that out in the near future, and I mean, I feel like it's gonna have to bonk her over the head 1 or 2 more times, be like, hey, you gotta pay attention to this. Because she's pushed it off basically 3 times now. So the original interaction with Nortruth, the zombie, and then the peddler buying the thing for an exorbitant price. So clearly very interested, and now the gas, right? So I guess that's technically 4 encounters, but we don't know if those are. We don't know if that 4th one's connected for sure. But I think she's gonna need to be bonked in the head 1 or 2 more times and be like, hey, you're gonna have to pay attention to this. This is a very serious issue. You showing up and getting in your way. Because right, none of this has anything to do with her actual plot of the story. So we'll have to see if that's changed. But we're gonna do that next Sunday. I may stream a little bit in the chat at the very beginning before I start streaming. Some people in chat that we might be. I might do some streams with. It's Memorial Day weekend here in the U.S., so I'm gonna be off Monday and Tuesday. So I may do a stream. I don't know. Like I was saying, that I also have to finish writing a new blog. Get that done, and it's about 10,000 words right now, so I've got to finish that one off. Though I'm pretty close. So get that uploaded as well. But if you're interested in some of our other content, and here, let's just jump over here to the chat real quick, and we'll just kind of knock this out. But if you're interested in our stuff, obviously links are down there. You can pick up the website, reddragonfiend.com. That's where the blog is. So if you're looking for more in-depth stuff, like a 10,000 word article about overland travel and working with that in your game, and a frankly not very mechanical discussion, very much just a DM theory craft kind of verisimilitude kind of discussion about it. Interesting thing about how to set up overland travel, how to the best of our knowledge it did work in a pre-industrial world, and you know, how that can help you sort of reframe things, kind of make especially overland travel not just something you skip with like a montage, and you can make it a little bit more sort of like that epic Fellowship of the Ring kind of journey idea, where the adventure is the journey, right? And not necessarily just moving from location adventure to town to location adventure. That's something that just kind of happens off screen at the point. And trying to make it an important and difficult part of the world, because it was, like, traveling was another thing that a ton of people did, especially on that long distance traveling. It's time consuming, it's dangerous, there's all sorts of issues with it, and you know, you have to have the means and the availability to do it. But all that stuff's in the blog, so if you're interested in stuff like that and other things, check out the blog below. Obviously you can check out YouTube and Twitter. I try to make a Twitter notification every time I go live for one of these streams, so that's a good way to get it if you're not following here on Twitch. If you aren't following here on Twitch, you should follow here on Twitch as well. But either one of those will work. I also tend to say other things on Twitter, so if you're interested in other D&D or PWYW, that's most of my focus, and I talk about some of the other stuff that I work on that's not necessarily stream related, such as my DriveThruRPG store. So if you want to pick up some supplements, I just talked about this on Twitter. I didn't really touch Twitter this week because it's so busy. But previously, just a little bit ago, I was talking about one of my articles that was up there that kind of deals with villager chores during the season. So if you ever wanted to know sort of what the common people are doing in a fantasy tabletop RPG at any point in time, that's a good resource. So if you're rolling in the middle of winter and you want to know, and some of that stuff's, I got that in here as well. And I've got it tied with my world calendar. So we have which some days have passed, and I'll need to update that as well. So technically a couple of days have passed. So we did. So day 2 and 3. So it's technically the 16th. So actually the 53rd of spring. Spring another 53. They're planting hay. If you wanted to know what the very rural agriculture people are doing at this time of year, they are planting hay. And planting hay for the summer crops so that way they can feed their livestock. For sure. All right, I think that's everything. Is there anything else I need to talk about? I think that's it. So Twitter is the best way to find out if I'm going to go live probably tomorrow or not, because that's usually where I'll say that I'm going to jump on live if I haven't scheduled it on Twitch. So that's fun. Thanks for coming along with me. It's kind of a weird session. Definitely took a strong left turn from where I thought I was going to go. I thought we were going to get Arias there and then immediately head to the conservatory. That did not happen. We ended up getting wrapped up with more proof again. And that's interesting. We've got this gas problem, we've got some undead in general problem, and maybe that has something to do with Slaver's affliction or not. Or maybe it's... we don't know yet. I don't want to speculate too much, because then I'll set up expectations I'll have to break for myself. Like I did today, where I thought we were going to go to the academy. But that didn't happen, and that's fine. And we'll hit it next time, we'll see what happens. Hopefully they'll be able to get this freaking dragon wormling out of here without being caught by the guards again, or... I mean, I guess they could always abandon it. They didn't really make it oath or anything, I don't think. We didn't really discuss that. But that's what we'll do next time. Check it out, I may be live tomorrow, maybe live Tuesday. If not, also got a new blog that'll be dropping very soon. But thanks for coming along with me. Hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. And I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.